Okay, so um, today, let's try to really understand something that I think we all crave, but sometimes just totally misunderstand.
Yeah.
Love.
Yeah.
Specifically, we've gotten a lot of requests to dive into those love languages everyone's been talking about. You sent over some really cool material on this, so I'm excited to unpack it all with our expert.
Great.
Have you ever felt like you were like pouring your heart into a relationship, but your efforts like just weren't landing
Yeah.
the way you hoped? Like you were doing all the right things, but something felt off.
It's such a common experience. And you know what it really often boils down to?
Wow.
Speaking different love languages.
Ooh. So not French or Klingon,
Mm.
but the way we express and experience love. Tell me more.
Exactly. We're going deep into the work of Dr. Gary Chapman and his book, The Five Love Languages. He says that we each have a way of feeling loved, and if our partner isn't speaking that language, our efforts might be completely lost in translation.
It's so true.
Yeah.
And this is not just in romantic relationships either. Have you noticed this?
All the time, like with friends, with family.
Oh, yeah. Like with your kids even.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm trying to show love to you in this way, but you're not picking it up.
Mhm.
And then I get frustrated because I'm like, I'm putting in all this effort. It's like, what's going on here?
It's so frustrating.
So frustrating. Okay. So what are these love languages?
He identifies 5 core love languages: words of affirmation, acts of service, receiving gifts, quality time, and physical touch.
Okay. 5 different ways to say I love you without actually saying it. Okay. I'm hooked.
That's a good way to put it, yeah.
Let's break each of these down. What about those who cherish words of affirmation? Give me the inside scoop. What is that all about?
So for these folks hearing, I appreciate you, receiving compliments, encouraging words, that's like pure gold. It's feeling valued and cherished through verbal expression.
So it's like those words are little deposits in their emotional bank account,
Exactly.
building up their
Building
sense
on.
of like security and love. What happens when those affirmations are missing?
The opposite, right? Negative words or a lack of affirmation can be incredibly draining, like their love tank is running on empty.
Oh, that makes total sense. Because it is. It's like their love currency is being undervalued.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's move on to acts of service.
Okay.
This one, I think, speaks to my soul, where actions really do speak louder than words.
For sure. And for those whose primary love language is acts of service, doing the dishes, running errands, helping with a project, that's I love you. It's
Right.
easing their burden, showing you care by taking something off their plate.
It's like saying, I see you. I see what you need, and I'm here to help.
Yeah.
So thoughtful.
Yeah.
Okay, on to receiving gifts.
Mm-hmm.
This one sometimes gets a bad rap, right?
Yeah, it does, definitely. But it's often misunderstood. It's not about being materialistic or needing expensive things. It's about the thought behind it, receiving something tangible that says, I was thinking of you.
Right. Like a souvenir or a little something from a trip you took or a book you talked about, something that shows you were listening, you were
Yeah.
paying attention.
Exactly, a physical manifestation of love.
It's the thought that counts.
100%.
Now let's talk quality time.
Yeah.
This one resonates with me very deeply. It's all about that feeling of being truly present with someone.
Totally. And for someone whose love language is quality time, putting down the phone, making eye contact, engaging in a conversation, that's more valuable than any gift.
Yeah.
Creating that space where distractions fade away and you're just focused on each other.
It's like saying being with you right now is all that matters.
That's it.
No multitasking, no quick glances at the phone, pure, dedicated time together. Okay, last but not least, we have physical touch.
This one is all about expressing and receiving love through physical closeness. Hugs, holding hands, a gentle touch. These speak volumes.
It's like their emotional world needs those physical reassurances to feel grounded, secure. Physical affection is like a warm embrace for the soul. Now, we've explored these 5 distinct love languages, each valid and important.
Yeah.
But what happens when 2 people in a relationship speak different languages? I have a feeling that's where things can get a little complicated, no?
You're right, yeah. Misunderstandings, unmet expectations, it all comes into play when those love languages clash. But that's a conversation for our next segment.
All right, so we've decoded the 5 love languages,
We have.
but I have a feeling this is where the real journey begins, right?
Yeah.
We've learned to identify these languages, but how do we actually bridge the gap when our natural ways of expressing love don't quite line up with those of our loved ones?
That's the million-dollar question. And the thing is that, mismatches, they aren't a sign of incompatibility.
Right.
But they're an opportunity to be more mindful and intentional in our relationships. So Let's say your love language is acts of service,
Okay.
but your partner thrives on words of affirmation.
You're loading the dishwasher, you're organizing their desk.
Yeah.
You're speaking volumes, right?
Exactly.
But they're craving those verbal reassurances, those I appreciate you kind of words.
Exactly. And that disconnect can lead to frustration on both sides.
Totally.
You're wondering why they don't notice your efforts.
Yeah.
And they're feeling unseen and unappreciated despite your actions.
It's like you're trying to pay for a croissant with Mexican pesos.
Ooh, I like that.
The gesture is there, the intention is good, but it's not the right currency.
What a perfect analogy. And this is where understanding those love languages becomes crucial. You see, it's not about loving harder. It's about loving smarter.
I love that. Loving smarter.
So it's about learning to speak each other's language, even if it's not our native tongue.
So how do we do that? Like, how do we become multilingual in the language of love?
Well, it starts with, open and honest communication.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, just talk to your loved ones about this. Find out what makes them feel truly loved and appreciated, what really speaks to them.
It's like exchanging travel tips before exploring a new country together.
Yeah.
Like, you want to know the best local spots, the phrases that'll make you feel like a local,
Yes.
so you can both enjoy the journey to the fullest.
I love that. It's about understanding the nuances of each other's emotional landscapes and navigating them with care.
Because love isn't a one-size-fits-all kind of deal. Right?
Yeah, not at all.
It's about tailoring our expressions of love to the unique individual we're with.
Exactly.
So where do we even begin? How do we decipher our own love language? And more importantly, how do we crack the code of those we love?
So Dr. Chapman, he developed a quiz to help with this.
Okay.
But you can also just ask yourself a few insightful questions like, what do you complain about most in your relationships?
Interesting. So those complaints, those are like clues pointing us towards our unmet needs.
Exactly. Like if you constantly find yourself wishing your partner would help more around the house,
Right.
acts of service might be your dominant love language.
It's like those complaints are our heart's way of saying, hey, I need a little something, something over here.
Exactly. And on the flip side, what do you appreciate most? What makes you feel loved and cherished?
Those are like those moments when you're like, that's it. That's the stuff.
Yeah,
Like when someone surprises you with a thoughtful gift or just listens intently to your day.
exactly. Those aha moments are often strong indicators of your own love language. And finally, just pay attention to how you naturally express love to others.
It's like observing your own communication style in a mirror.
Mm-hmm.
We often unconsciously speak our own love language most fluently.
You're so right. Now remember, this isn't about changing who we are or trying to become someone we're not
Right.
to please someone else.
It's not about morphing into some idealized version of a partner just to, make someone else happy.
Exactly. It's about expanding our repertoire, adding new tools to our, love toolkit. You don't have to become fluent in every love language.
Right. You don't have to be perfect at it.
But learning a few key phrases can make all the difference.
It's like mastering those essential Italian phrases before a trip to Rome. Ciao, grazie, un cappuccino, per favor. You might not be fluent, but those small efforts go a long way.
Exactly. Those small, intentional gestures spoken in the language that resonates with your loved ones, those are the building blocks of really fulfilling relationships.
It's about making an effort to truly understand and speak each other's heart's desires. But how do these love languages play out in different types of relationships? Because surely it's not just about romantic love, right?
You're so right. Love languages are just as relevant in friendships, family dynamics, even in the workplace.
So you're saying that understanding love languages could help me even navigate that tricky relationship with my boss or even connect better with my teenage kid.
Totally. Because remember, these languages are about how people feel valued in any close relationship. So recognizing that, your best friend lights up when you offer words of affirmation, while your sibling feels most loved when you spend quality time together, that's huge.
It's like having a secret decoder ring for human connection.
Exactly. It shifts the focus from what's the best way to show love to what's the best way to show love to this person.
Totally. And then suddenly those miscommunications and frustrations start to make so much more sense.
Right.
It's not about loving more or harder. It's about loving smarter.
100%. And like any skill, becoming fluent in the love languages of those around us, that takes practice, an ongoing effort.
So it's not a one-time download. It's an ongoing conversation.
Yes.
Like we were saying earlier.
Because our needs evolve, relationships change, so we have to just keep checking in, keep those lines of communication open.
It's about staying curious, adaptable, even when it feels, challenging or maybe a little awkward.
Yeah, But imagine the possibilities. When we embrace this concept, not just in our romantic relationships, but just in our lives.
In all of your relationships.
In all of them.
It's like the ripple effect of a small act of kindness.
Hmm.
But like multiplied.
Beautifully said, yeah.
This deep dive has been incredible. I feel like I'm looking at like all my relationships through a brand new lens. Thank you so much for breaking it all down.
It's been fun.
As always, we want to leave our listeners with something to ponder. So think about someone you'd like to connect with more deeply. Maybe someone you've struggled to understand. What's one small gesture inspired by maybe their love language that you can offer today? A word of encouragement, a helping hand, maybe just a shared moment of laughter.
It's those little things.
It really is. It's the little thing.
When spoken in the right language.
It's about creating a symphony of connection. That's the power of understanding and speaking the 5 love languages. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll catch you on the next one.